She wasn't married. She wasn't pregnant. Yet at 27, she received a daughter who was just 1 month old. She was optimistic and kind, yet always hurt by scumbags. Her name was Rosie, a chubby little girl. At 16, Rosie stepped into the world on her own. She met her first love in a bar. He was a casino dealer. They'd been together less than 10 days when he vanished, leaving behind a huge debt. Rosie didn't cry or throw a fit. She spent 10 years of her youth paying it off. Later, in a new city, she met a waiter. He charmed her with his hardworking student act, but in reality, he was seeing 8 female streamers at the same time and using Rosie's money to do it. Heartbroken, Rosie moved to another city with her child. By the time she was 30, she met a divorced white-collar worker raising a child. Once again, her kindness made her give everything she had, only to find he wasn't divorced at all. She wanted answers, but when Rosie saw a cute stroller at the door, she quietly walked away. Scarred and tired, Rosie took a job at a deli, planning to close her heart off from love. But not long after, she started dating a novelist. This time, he didn't hurt her. Rosie worked tirelessly to make ends meet while he stayed home to write. Even though he never actually finished anything, Rosie never complained. For a while, the three of them seemed happy. Then, one day, he disappeared without a word. Refusing to give up, Rosie and her daughter went to the man's so-called hometown. She went door to door asking about him, but in the end, she never found him. By then, Rosie was 35. Exhausted, she settled down with her daughter in a small boat at the town's harbor. From then on, her daughter Joy became her whole world. Every morning, the moment her alarm rang, Rosie got up to make breakfast for Joy. Once Joy was at school, Rosie worked at a barbecue shop. Her lively personality made her popular, and Grandpa Sato, the kind old owner, rented the small boat to them cheaply. After school, Joy sometimes came to the shop for dinner, and Grandpa Sato would pile extra meat on her plate. Even when she was exhausted, Rosie hand-washed Joy's sports clothes. The thoughtful Joy would help cook spaghetti with meat sauce when she saw her mom asleep, even if it was just plain pasta. They'd enjoy it together. One rainy day, Rosie was off work and suggested they go to the aquarium. Joy wasn't very interested. Teenagers always care about what others think, and Joy was no exception. She worried about running into classmates, embarrassed by her short, chubby mom. But sometimes, what you fear comes anyway. At the next stop, they ran into Tom from Joy's school. Luckily, he didn't notice them, and Rosie had fallen asleep. Otherwise, with her naturally chatty personality, she might have started talking non-stop again. The aquarium was empty because of the rain, just the two of them. Even when Rosie tripped, she laughed it off happily. During the Bon Festival, Joy was chatting with friends. Rosie called out to her in a loud voice, making Joy wave awkwardly. Her friends complimented Rosie on how young she looked, but joked she didn't look much like Joy. Joy noticed it too. She and Rosie looked completely different. Rosie seemed unusually cheerful that day, flirting playfully with a blonde guy. Joy remembered that lately, at night, Rosie had been talking on the phone for hours with someone. Although Rosie kept her voice low, Joy knew she didn't mind that Rosie might have a new boyfriend. She just worried her mom would get hurt again. The next day at the sports meet, Rosie prepared an extra rice bowl. Claiming she had a big appetite, Joy didn't reveal the truth. Rosie cheered loudly for her daughter awkward, but Joy understood it was her way of showing love. The occasional camera flashes in the crowd annoyed Joy. It seemed like someone was always taking pictures of her, but she couldn't find who. During lunch, Rosie sneaked off with the rice bowl, everyone knowing the parents' races were in the afternoon. Nervous, Rosie jumped the gun several times. She looked confident, but after a few steps, she was already out of breath. At first, Joy was too shy to watch, but seeing Rosie fall and get up again, she ran forward, cheering loudly. Even if Rosie finished last, her name spread across the town. Joy thought it wasn't a great reputation, but Rosie didn't care. Good or bad, people would remember her. Seeing Rosie's optimism, Joy became certain her mom was in love again, though she worried Rosie would get hurt. Grandpa Sato interrupted her thoughts. Tonight they would celebrate Christmas early at the shop. Everyone enjoyed the meal, and Joy ate plenty of barbecue. After the party, Joy carried the drunk Rosie home. They talked about a lot along the way. Rosie had also been raised by a single mom, but when her mom got a boyfriend, she went to live with her grandmother. Now, with Joy, she felt truly happy. That night, Joy had stomach pain and couldn't sleep. She thought it was from the barbecue and didn't want kind Grandpa Sato to worry. When she opened her eyes again, she was in a hospital bed. Luckily, it was just appendicitis. Grandpa Sato told her to take care of herself and not always worry about adults. Joy thought a lot about this. Looking at Rosie's guilty face, she finally asked the question she had been holding in since she was 4. She had discovered Rosie's hidden photos. In them, she looked more like the woman next to Rosie than Rosie herself. Realizing she couldn't hide it anymore, Rosie told the truth. Back then, to pay off her ex-boyfriend's debt, Rosie had met a beautiful girl named Mabel at a nightclub. Mabel had also been cheated by a man. Rosie, straightforward as always, quickly became Mabel's close friend. One day, Mabel found out she was pregnant. Rosie cried tears of joy for her friend. From that day on, Rosie worked even harder, wanting her friend and her future child to have a better life. 9 months later, Mabel gave birth to a baby girl. When Joy was just a month old, Mabel left a letter and disappeared, entrusting the baby to Rosie. Looking at Joy, who seemed upset. Rosie carefully explained Mabel's actions. At the time, Mabel was naive and unprepared for motherhood. Now she understood her mistakes. The person Rosie had been calling late at night wasn't a man, it was Mabel. She had also been the one secretly photographing Joy at the sports meet. Rosie tearfully explained that, though she would be sad, it was okay if Joy wanted to live with Mabel. Seeing her clumsy mom, Joy said she wouldn't become like Rosie, short, chubby, always telling silly jokes. But that didn't stop her from loving her mom just as she was. It was like Rosie had returned to the days when she and Joy relied on each other. When little Joy always cheered her on and always said, "I love you most." The movie ended with no dramatic family reunion, no messy courtroom battle, just two imperfect people looking toward the future by the harbor. She had been hurt, but still chose to be kind. Everyone has someone like this in their lives. Someone working tirelessly every day. We think they'll always be strong. Then one day, they age and we realize they were never naturally strong, they just had no other choice. So treasure the people around you.